you here at Henderson's lineup, Grants Pass, Oregon. Today we're going to be installing an SS402 rear track bar on a 2006 Econoline 350 board-free motorhome. Comes with the frame pinch bracket, the axle mount bracket, the track bar itself, and the hardware for the parts. So we're going to start by installing the passenger side bracket, which is the axle mount bracket. The upper is going to go bolt head as such that way, and on the lower it's going to have to be the opposite. Now, depending on if your coach is a 350 or a 450, on this particular coach we had to shorten the upper bolt, and then on the lower bolt we have to grind down the head ever so slightly so that it doesn't rub on the shock. So still working on the passenger side here. We've got our shock out of the way. We've started the two bolts. The lower bolt, we had to grind a little bit of the head off so it would not rub on the shock. And the upper bolt here, we had to shorten a little bit so it wouldn't rub on the axle housing. So once you've got your two axle mount bracket bolts run down, you want to torque them to 100 foot-pounds. And you're then going to reinstall your shock. Your shock is also going to torque to 100 foot-pounds. So the next thing we're going to be doing is installing the driver's side track bar mount bracket. It's a clamp bracket, it wraps around the frame and clamps against the frame. So you install the top half first. It just sits up here in this little crevice on the frame, and it's gonna be loose. Now, this lower bracket here has a notch cut in it right here that sits against this cross member up here, and that's going to be how you gauge your placement for the bracket. I have these set screws started but not sticking out past the bracket. We're going to line up our holes here and start the bolts to clamp the two pieces together. Once you've got the two 15/16 clamp bolts fairly tight, you want them snug but not so tight. You want to still be able to move the bracket a little bit. Begin to tighten your set screws. So once you've got your set screws run down, so where this back part of this bracket is flush against the frame, you're going to torque these 15/16 head bolts with the lock washer and the flat washer to a 150 foot-pounds. Now that you have those torqued, you're going to run your set screws down one more time to just past snug, and use an open-ended wrench to tighten the jam nut once the set screw is just past snug. So now we're going to begin installing the track bar. On some E450 models, this upper bolt needs to be pre-installed into this bracket before you install the bracket on the frame. On this particular coach it does not matter, so we didn't do that. You're going to put the bolt in with no washers. You're going to slide one washer over as to protect the bushing on the track bar. The adjustment on the track bar is going to be on the passenger side, or the passenger side. You install the bolt into the track bar, another bushing, and then your 1.8" nut. Now you don't want to tighten this yet, you just want to get it hanging. Now we're going to move over to the driver's side, and you're going to notice that your track bar doesn't fit. So that's what this adjustment is for, and that's why you want to have it as you drive it normally, because it will shift your axle weird if you do it with the wheels hanging. So you're going to spin the head that has the hole for the driver's side until it lines up perfectly with your hole. Bolt coming in from the back side. This one is going to go on the inside. So we are going to put one washer on the bolt. We're protect that bushing. Another one on the other side to protect the bushing. And then our nut on the outside. And you're gonna run these down and torque these to 200 foot-pounds. Alright, so the last thing we're going to do here is to tighten the jam nut on the passenger side axle bracket. It's going to go against the main track bar rod. Your kit is going to come with red Loctite for this. I'm using my own red Loctite, but your kit will come with red Loctite. Let's put a little bit on the threads there. This is going to be a 1 1/8 inch wrench. Let me run this down. You're using an open-ended wrench to tighten this, so there's no real way to torque it, but it's going to be a little over 100 foot-pounds. And that completes your installation of the SS402 track bar for the E350 450 chassis. Make sure you double check all your hardware when you're done installing it. You don't want anything to come loose.